Welcome to the Proven Podcast, where it does not matter what you think, only what you can prove. Today's guest, Amanda Dobler, has built a six-figure per month health coaching empire as a solopreneur, helping thousands of women lose weight without restrictive diets or extreme measures in an oversaturated industry. The show starts now. All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. I am so excited to have my guest. Amanda, thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited.
So for the few people out there who actually don't know who you are, can you tell a little bit about who you are and what you've done?
Yeah, so my name is Amanda Dobler. I started my own health coaching business that's bringing in six figures every single month. I went to Vanderbilt University and I struggled with my weight for a while. I was always a huge yo-yo dieter. I was breaking out a ton. I was always trying the next big health trend and next big like juice trend and whatever type of health fix to try to lose weight. And so I struggled with my weight and my self-esteem and confidence for a very long time. Once I graduated college, I worked in the corporate world and I was still just coping with food, coping with alcohol, and I just did not feel my best at all. So I finally realized like, hey, I need to get to the root of what my issue is and stop coping with food, stop coping with alcohol, and really work on my habits and my behaviors and my triggers and really connect with my mindset and get control over that. And so I lost 20 pounds without restricting, without going crazy in the gym. And since then, I've been teaching that method to thousands of women and have my own health coaching business now. And it's been amazing.
So I know we were talking before we started recording. You said ice cream all the time is always. That's not the right answer. No, that
Yeah.
wasn't right. Ice cream always. Ice cream and chocolate. No. So you've done something in an industry that's exceptionally hard. Not only are you, the society as a whole push against females, but you're also in a saturated market. How did you? What do you think was the thing that made you stand out versus everyone else?
So, one thing about me is I'm very blunt and I'm very honest. And I think it comes from being German and then also being an Aries, not to get into astrology, but I just say things as they are. And so I think that there are so many gimmicks out there. There's so much BS, there's so much fluff in the diet industry. And people are sold the idea that they have to buy a supplement, buy whatever quick fix to lose the weight. But
Mhm.
that never helps keep the weight off. And so I just got very sick of all of the fluff out there, and so I speak very honestly, and I say, "Hey, you can eat whatever you want. If you wanna eat pizza every single day for every single meal, you can still lose weight as long as you're in a calorie deficit. You'll probably feel like crap and look like crap because that food is not the best for you, but if you want to do that, you can do that." And so I think it's been very helpful for women to hear, "Hey, I don't have to give up pizza or carbs or wine or whatever. I can still have that, but
Mhm.
control my portion size of it and really pay attention to how the food and drinks are making me feel." And so giving people the freedom to eat, drink whatever they want, but with some structure around it, that even though it shouldn't be groundbreaking, it is because there's so many rules out there that don't make any sense. And so I think that was very new to a lot of people and kind of disrupted to the industry.
So when you talk about rules, how did you break the rules to create the six figures a month? Because that's, everyone's going to be here and they're like, hey, what is proven? How did you do this? Can you walk everybody through kind of your model of what you do and how you do it and you provide service?
Yeah, so it took me, I mean, I've been coaching for 6 years now, and, um, last year I hit 1.1 million all on my own and started doing six-figure months, and so it's taken time to build out to that. So, the first thing that I had to realize is success isn't gonna come overnight with it, and I think that there are a lot of people out there who get really excited with starting a business, and it's like the new shiny thing that they are attracted to. But then when things get hard or when things aren't producing the results that they want, they quit and they start something new and they say, "Oh, this is going to be the next best thing," and then that cycle repeats. And so for myself, I just got really I put my head down and kept focused and knew that I was not going to have this huge overnight success with it. And I think just being realistic with the results that I wanted and the time frame with it allowed me to continue. And I think just continuing to stick with it made me really successful with it. And the other thing is that I stuck to my core belief where you don't have to diet, you don't have to restrict yourself, you don't have to buy something to lose weight. You just have to really work on your habits and behaviors. Like that's a long-term effect. And so the way that I run my business is thinking about the long-term impact of how I structure it and the decisions I make. And it's the same way that I teach my fat loss philosophy, where it's the long-term effect of what you're doing right now.
So it seems like you've gone through and, in your world, you've chosen two habits, right? In my personal life, I'm going to do this one habit and that's going to get me radical results. And then in business, I'm going to do this one thing over and over again. It's going to get me results. In business, what was that shiny object? What was that thing that you're like, I'm doing this come hell or high water?
Yeah, it's been sticking to my core belief that you have to focus on your habits. And I know we're saying, what's the one habit that you need to focus on? But it's really focusing on your identity and who you want to become and what you have to do to produce those results rather than just saying, hey, I want to make $100,000 a month. Like, how do I get there? Instead, I think about who I want to be, the type of company that I want to run, and the type of clients that I want to work with.
So in your field, there's always like there's social media, there's TikTok, there's Instagram, there's X, there's I hate calling it X, it's Twitter, there's all these other things. Which one did you lock in on that you were like, nope, this is it, and I'm gonna do this? And what were the things you did there that no one else was doing?
Yeah, so the first platform that I was on was Instagram, and it was very interesting. It took me a while to grow on Instagram, and I'm still not huge on it, but I was able to create 50, 60, $75,000 months with just 5,000 followers. And I think it's really interesting because not to compare it to anyone else, but there are people out there who have millions of followers and
Yes.
they're who can make a dime. Whereas you have an audience that is super engaged and you have 1,000 people,
Mhm.
you can be making so much money with it because as long as people can connect with you and engage with you and relate to you, that's most important. And so posting on Instagram, telling my story, knowing that what I went through, so many other women are currently going through or have gone through, and being really honest about it because weight is a really tricky subject. It's a very vulnerable subject. No one wants to say, "Hey, I'm struggling with food. Hey, I'm eating a container of peanut butter at 1 in the morning, right? And I struggle with that." No one wants to admit that. And on Instagram, I just started posting honestly about what I went through, what I struggled with, and made it more normalized for other people to say, "Hey, I'm dealing with this as well. Can you help me with it?" And that's how my coaching started.
Well, I think it's because ice cream lies on the back of it. It says serving size 4, say nay, nay, serving size 1. There's nothing wrong with eating. Oh, no, anyway. I
Right.
think one of the things you talk about, and there's a lot of authenticity that comes about. It's like this is what I was going through. This is what caused it, but also understanding the underlying meanings. Say, hey, why am I consuming an entire thing of peanut butter? What's causing this? What previous traumas am I working through? And having that level of vulnerability, connects people. What were the ones? And because people are going to sit there and they're going to listen to this and like, okay, I get it. And I agree with you 100%. I grew 130 something thousand followers in 39 days. And then we did a six-figure launch. And we did it, there's two ways. So I'll just tell it for the audience. We did not use ads. We did not do any paid stuff. None of that. What we did was I connected to someone else who was an influencer and said, hey, this is what's going on. I'll pay you to tell your audience about that. And then we skyrocket. That's the only way we did it. We didn't do it with fancy dancy and it worked. But because we showed people at the time I was 42, I would sit there and say, hey, I'm a 42-year-old guy without chesticles. Watch me get 100,000 followers. People are like, wait, what? Because they're like, if he could do it, I could do it. So is that really that vulnerable? And then we did a six-figure launch and I gave it away, but then I've stepped away. So that authenticity works. So if you're playing at home and you're like, "Hey, how did she do it? How did Charles do it?" Just be authentic and give it away. What were the posts and the engagements that you saw? And I'm curious because I had a very specific experience with Instagram. People were like, "Hey, you need to post at a certain time, and your captions need to use these emojis and all that." What was your experience with that?
Yeah, with Instagram, I mean, social media is tough because you think that when you work so hard on the post and you're like, this is the one that people are gonna connect with, it's gonna go viral, it's gonna get so many likes, and then that post that you spend so much time on, it gets 0. And so that was really frustrating for me at first because I would try to be perfect with what I was producing, and it it turned out that my most, like, not chaotic posts, but the things that I just thought of right away and then posted right away which were my most authentic ones, like, those people could really relate to, not the ones where I'm sitting at my desk for 3 hours trying to come up with, like, the best caption, right? Because no one really cares. They want to hear the pain point, the struggle that they're going through, and really getting into that versus, "Hey, my program has," and then listing out the bullet points of what comes with it. It's like, no, where are they struggling and what's the transformation that they want? And I knew nothing about marketing, nothing about sales, nothing about any of that. I've never done a paid ad. But just being truly authentic
Mhm.
was the best thing ever. And people always say, just be yourself, right? Be authentic, act yourself. That works if you are a good person, I would say.
Which are rare on Instagram, for sure.
Yeah.
I think for me, what changed it was ironically David Goggins. So David Goggins is a former SEAL. He posts once a week. That's it.
Mhm.
He's got millions of followers. But that one post of him normally half naked running on the side of the road, which David put some clothes on for God's sake. But he goes out there and he provides so much value in that 2, 3 minute clip that everyone's like, okay, I'm going to buy whatever he has. Versus, hey, these are the shoes I wear, and this is this, and that he just provides that authentic value. Now,
Yeah.
so I think we get on the way that you've kind of broke through the system and became signal versus noise. You became that lighthouse amongst the fog is through authenticity. Walk me through the back end. Walk me through say, hey, I had this huge team, or I did this, and these are the programs I'm using, and I have, all of this. You've built an empire, right? You've done most businesses never do that. You've done this from your phone, you've done it from your house. You've had the ability to do that. Walk me through your back end and how big your team is and all of that.
Yeah. Team of one right here. Though I finally realized that I need some help. So I have been a jack of all trades. I've learned everything through taking courses, through YouTube has been my best friend with trying to set up my website. I'm the worst with graphic design. Like truly, I just believe in you get better at something. And this is how I teach how to lose weight. It's a skill. Everything in life is a skill that can be taught and can be learned. And so if I don't know how to teach it, I need to learn it. And so really just starting with one step, um, and continuing on is really helpful 'cause I get very overwhelmed very easily, and so being able to break it down into bite-sized pieces has been very helpful, but it's just been me. I'm the social media manager, I'm the coach, I'm the CEO, I'm the CFO, I'm everyone, and it's been a huge learning curve, but I'm very grateful for going through it, but it's really hard, and so now I'm thinking, "Hey, I probably need some help with this," because when you're doing close to 200K months, you need help, it's not sustainable.
100%. So you used to do it on your own, and then you said, okay, now I need help. It's not sustainable. Walk me through what was that change in your, what did you start processing differently? How did your life start showing up differently? Because most people think, "Hey, I need a team of 1,000 people," and then they're gonna hear your story, I'm like, "I can do it by myself." It's like, "Sure, if you don't wanna sleep anymore, if you don't wanna, just if you want things to fall apart, absolutely." What was that process for you as, because creating what you've created, most small businesses never do that. Most small businesses never exceed 7 figures. They never break that. It's a wall that they run into. And most people who have done that understand that they're never gonna get to 8 figures unless they outsource and get a team. So that's that next evolution. But where you are, what was the moment when you were sitting down and things started changing? You're like, okay, I need some help. I need to figure things out differently. What was that change and how did you learn and give yourself permission to let go? Because a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with that. We're like, okay, yeah, I've built this. I think I'm the only person who can do it. I'm the special snowflake here. But I'm like, no, I can't do this anymore. What was that for you?
Yeah, I like that question. I mean, this shift has happened recently for me where I realized that what I'm doing right now, it's amazing and I'm so proud of myself, but it's not sustainable for me. And I think when my wake up time has gone from waking up at 6 a.m. to now waking up at 3:45 a.m.,
Yeah.
3:30, many more, and answering messages very late. I know that in the future, if I want to, start a family, have time for myself,
Mhm.
the way that I'm going about things right now, while it works for the phase of life that I'm in currently, it doesn't for the future. And as we started off this podcast, my I just think about the long term
Mhm.
effect of my decisions. And so knowing that it's going to take some time to get other people to be involved and help and to continue to scale my business, um, it's just where I'm at right now. And scaling from 0 to 1 million and then from 1 million to 5 or 10 million, that's a whole different ballgame, I've realized too.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's I always give the example of Tarzan. In order for Tarzan to go through the jungle, he goes from one vine to another vine, but he's gotta let go of that other vine and, to keep momentum. But if you're still holding on, momentum kinda stops. I'm really confused by something you said. You're telling me I don't have to wake up at 3:30 in the morning anymore? I do what? That's so there's a lot of people who do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm a morning person. I'd
Mhm.
rather work at 3:30 in the morning than 9:30 at night, even though that happens, but I would rather do that, but again, I want my beauty rest, so we need a shift.
Adrenal failure is not fun, and I think we've all done that because most small business do it through brute force. So when you're going through this and you're doing everything on your own, what are the things like when you do accounting and you're sitting and you're figuring out marketing and you're figuring out customer service? And because we're going through, you do literally everything from acquisition to fulfillment on this process. Is everything done remotely? How are you doing the other stuff? What are some of the tools? Because what I want is most people are like, yeah, that's great. You're gonna go build a system and you're gonna go hire these people, and that's super cute, but you're making money. If that person's just starting out, imagine you when you started, 6 years ago when you were 13, I guess. So when you were going through that process,
Yeah.
and what were the things that you could sit down with that version of you and say, "Hey, these are the tools you need. Go make love to YouTube as much as you possibly can. That's gonna become your best friend." What are some of the other tools and some of the stuff that you're like, "Hey, this really changed the ballgame for me, and this really connected and changed how I do things?"
I think the most important thing, well, to back up, I first got very overwhelmed, and I think a lot of people get overwhelmed thinking that they need the best website and the best like, yes, you do need a really good program, but they think that they have to be they think that they have to have the perfect product and site and all of that. When the reality is, I think it's most important to focus on getting your clients and that client experience and hustling with that and just getting experience with it rather than getting worried about kind of the structure of everything else. So I think just getting that experience at first with what you are trying to build and getting kind of people to test it out is the most important thing. And then everything else can kind of not naturally fall into place because it's a lot of work. But when I first started my business, I was coaching clients for free. I emailed my apartment building because you can like post a portal, and I said, "Hey, I just got certified to be a nutrition coach. I would love to you can hire me and I'll coach you for 3 months. And all I want is just your testimonial. And all I want is that. Like, you don't have to pay me anything." And so grinding and just getting that experience at first. And I definitely would not recommend doing anything for free for 3 months. Maybe it's like a one-time session because that's a long time and people want to make money. But just getting that experience because it helps boost your confidence, knowing that you can do this
Mhm.
and just putting yourself out there.
It also gets you to understand what the market wants. We talk about this all the time. If I'm gonna build a dating website for people in their 20s, it's gonna use very different terminology than if I'm gonna build a dating website for people in their 30s. You're like spontaneous and fun and exciting versus family orientated and yeah, yeah. It's a different narrative completely. So being able to work with those people, which I have worked, I know this is surprising since my last name is Schwartz and you're a German, but I've worked a ton for free because I don't know what the market wants. I don't know what's gonna respond with. I don't know how they're gonna react to it. So when you were talking about building a course and a customer experience and a client experience, I'd love for you to kinda share more about that because so many of us focus on, "Hey, I wanna make this much money." And because we're so focused on us, and this is before we get too spiritual and going on, some of us focus on ourselves so much, ego, versus letting it go and being in service to others, that again, you guys will get there. Read some books. You'll get there. Trust me. Just read the books. It helps. So, hurt people, heal, please. If not, you eat a bowl of peanut butter in the middle of the night. Just saying. So as you're going through that and you're making that transition and you're giving people that experience that is really about them, what did you find in that process when you're creating a customized program that really changed it?
That people just wanna be heard. They want I mean,
I'm sorry, what was that?
people want to be heard.
What?
They want sorry, it goes a little slow. Um, I only work with women. I don't work with men because I do like not that men aren't emotional, you're fabulous, but I just enjoy work I enjoy working with women because I know that things are, you know, you want to be heard, you wanna be validated, but at the same time, my clients also want to just be told the truth and what to do. But with the client experience and how I've shaped everything with that, the first thing I forgot to say is when I was coaching for free, I also still had my corporate job. So it's like I quit my job and then had nothing and was really stressed out. So I think if someone wants to start a business, it is helpful to work on it on the side.
Mhm.
Um, Give yourself more runway with it. But anyway, back to my client experience. I only did one-on-one coaching, and I did a lot of time together. They had full access, text access all the time. We had 60-minute, hour-long calls every week or twice a week. It was a lot of me that I gave to them, and they gave me a lot of themselves as well. And what I realized is that things get repetitive and you need time to put action to place with it. And that helped me then create more of a format with what people need, because everyone has a different lifestyle and preference, but the foundation of how to lose weight and how to stay consistent, all of that is pretty um, it can work for most people. And then from there, turning that into a group coaching program and now kind of taking myself out of it to run without me.
So you said something there that a lot of people have problems with, which is consistency.
Mm.
Having that discipline and consistency is important. I think, Mike Tyson said it really well. It's, discipline is doing the thing you hate as if you love it, just endlessly and relentlessly. Today, you got up, you do the workout. Today, you get up, you do the ice bath, you put the time in, you just, it is what it is. That's something that doesn't exist for a lot of people. They want to outsource it and they don't want to have the willpower. And we understand that willpower is finite. How do you build that consistency, be it in your business when you're not making the money? And I agree with you 100%. Do your job, mind your business is the narrative, and just don't quit unless you've got 6 months in the bank. Don't do it. And I think that's still bare minimum. How do you build consistency both in your personal life for health and fitness, but also in your professional life? How did you find a way to do that?
Yeah, I would say that for my personal life, especially with health and fitness, with how to be consistent, it's more about setting up your environment for success and reducing any tension involved. So if if let's say, I live in an apartment and there's a gym in my building, it takes very little effort for me to go to the gym. But if I was going to a gym that was an hour away, would I be going every day? Right now, yes, because I'm very disciplined with it, but in the past, no, absolutely not. And so giving yourself easy access to make easy good for you decisions, that's important. And making it hard for yourself to make bad or like not as good decisions, right? It's why I don't keep junk food in my house. It's not because I'm going to eat all of it, but like why even tempt myself? Why make it harder? So I am disciplined with what I allow in my environment and where I place my energy, and that's been very important. And I've learned a lot about that as I've matured and gotten older, and just making it easy for me to be successful. In terms of uh, my business with being consistent, it's I have this thing called dial movers for my clients, which is focusing on the few things that will actually move the dial with fat loss. So we do focus on movement, we focus on counting calories, right? Being in a deficit. And then we focus on literally drinking water, like the foundations of what makes us feel good as a human. And the bare minimum is that you have to hit those things daily. And so for myself, for my business, it's okay, I need to post daily. I need to advertise myself or market myself. And then I need to respond to people in my DMs. And like that's the bare minimum. Even if I'm having the worst day ever, even if I accomplish nothing else, I have to do that. And that helps me move through the motions even when I don't want to.
I think it's the narrative of brushing your teeth. There's
Yeah.
not a person I know who doesn't brush their well, no one in my immediate circle that doesn't brush their teeth every day. But at the bare minimum, brush. It's a non-negotiable. You just do it. So you talked about 3 of those dials. You talked about, you're gonna respond to people, you're gonna do the DMs, you're gonna post every day. What are some of the things on the back end that were those dials? Because remember, you're talking very forward facing. I'm gonna work with my clients, I'm gonna build this authentic thing. What were the things on the back end that you set up for success? Was it specific habits, or what are the things that really you saw created and changed the narrative?
Yeah, with my clients or for my
For
business.
you on the back end of how to scale it, because most people are looking like, "Okay, she gets it. She's authentic and she lost some weight. Yay, cute, whatever." But they wanna know, "Okay, how did you scale this? How the heck did you?" Because there's a ton of fitness people. Years ago, I had a client that was a, Beachbody coach, which that's not a drop for Beachbody, and we quadrupled her stuff like that, and she lost it like that because when we stopped working, she stopped doing the habits, she stopped doing what we did. There's something you've done on a high level to get to where you are. To have, to be where you are and to hit $1 million to $2 million a year is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. People are going, okay, all this stuff is cute. How the hell did you do that? So
Yeah.
can you walk me through what are the things that move the dial and change the ball game on those?
Yeah, one the what worked for me when I started out is something that still absolutely works for me now, which is sharing client testimonials. And so even when I was first starting out and I got my first client,
Mhm.
even though it was a free client, like, right, they weren't paying me at all, it's sharing that testimonial and walking through the story of how that happened and how if that person can do it, then someone else can do it. And so even if you just have one person that you've helped, it's continuing um, to talk about it and have others relate to it and see that it's possible. So again, like posting on Instagram and sharing my story, sharing their story, sharing kind of um, my method with it too, and that gained traction. And I think the things I was doing then, I also just I studied a lot. I learned a lot. I was looking at what other coaches were doing, what other people were doing, not to copy them, but to get ideas of what is in the market and um how to structure a program. Just taking the time to learn. And that's something that I still do today, but also just putting things into action as well, not just taking in all the information and being like, oh, I'm so scared I don't want to do it. I'm not gonna be perfect with it yet. But it's learning and then just trying. And if that fails, you try again, and just not giving up.
I think it's the idea of perfection is the enemy of execution. Just do
Yeah.
it, you're gonna fail, and God bless it. What makes a good testimonial? Because we all have testimonials, and I agree with your method completely. Work with someone. If you don't have any testimonials, for those who are listening at home, if you don't have any testimonials, work for free until you do. That's just it is what it is. Get it. You have to get testimonials. That's your social proof. Unless you're, Wall Street Journal bestseller or whatever it is, unless you have those things, you're going to need those testimonials.
Yeah.
You've gotten an immense amount of testimonials. When you've gone through and you've seen the ones that have converted, because there's ones that make us feel good as human beings, going, "Oh, she was so nice and wonderful," and then there's the ones that generate income. When you have found the testimonials that are effective, because that's not good or bad, there just is. There's ineffective or effective. What are the testimonials you have found that are like, "Hey, this is a model that works really well. These are the questions that I normally ask." What are those?
Yeah, so the testimonials that work the best are the ones that show proof of the result and also the pain points and, the outcome with it, right? That's what makes a testimonial, but it's hitting on all those parts. It's not, the old way of having a testimonial in the diet industry is saying, "Hey, Jill lost 10 pounds in 2 weeks," and people eat that up. But people are getting smarter now, or at least the clients that I'm attracting, they're smarter. They know, "Hey, that probably I've tried this, that won't work." And so it's focusing on the fact that this client lost 20 pounds in 3 months. She didn't restrict anything. She goes out to eat, showing proof of that, right? The text that I have with my clients there, before and after pictures, and really hitting home on the fact that people want to lose weight, but they don't want to give up their social life. They don't want to give up their pizza, their whatever it is. And so being able to tell the whole transformational story is really vital. And really talking about, like, your the avatar, right? Like, there's a few different avatars that I have of my client base. I have the busy working mom. I have the busy single woman in her 20s or 30s and goes out a lot. I have, the woman who is just had a baby a few months ago. It's there's a whole variety of women, and I work with those type. And so sharing all of these stories to show that it is possible, and it's not your cortisol, it's not your hormones, it's not whatever else. Or this person struggled with PCOS, right? And they still lost the weight. So it's being able to hit on all those points.
So when you have this experience with them, and you've talked about it a bunch of times when you work directly with them, what is that? Walk me through that normally is. I mean, because you've got a program, and I'm not going to ask you to give away the secrets of your program, which I still think it should just be ice cream, but you keep fighting me on that. Um,
Mhm.
when you have that interaction, what is it like for when a client works with you? What do you guys go through? What is that experience like? As much as you can give without giving away the magic beans. What's the way that they do it?
Yeah, I mean, and truthfully, the thing with weight loss, with fat loss, any coach out there, they didn't come up with this magic or this secret of how to lose weight. It literally is the same for every person, being in a calorie deficit, right? But the way that I teach it, I think, is just more informative because there's no rules with it. So when a client signs on with me, um, I set them up with their weekly total calories and their protein goal. I don't focus on macros. because I think that macros, some people love it. I think that they can be really confusing. And people get nervous to eat an apple because they're like, oh, there's so many carbs in this. And I'm like, it's an apple. It's so good for you. And so giving them a little bit of structure. And I basically say, imagine that you had $100 in your pocket for the week, and that's all you have, right? Would you spend $80 on a shirt that you really like on Monday? Maybe, but then you'll only have $20 left for the rest of the week. You might go in debt with it, right? Is it really worth it? And that's how I view calories. You have a set amount of calories to be in a deficit with, and you're in full control of it, but it's probably best to make smart decisions with it and say, hey, let me go have 3 pizzas on a Monday, and then you're going on vacation and whatever. So it's thinking about your week in a whole. And so rather than giving my clients a set meal plan or a strict meal plan, I don't believe in that, because if you follow a meal plan, what happens when you go on vacation and your meal plan isn't there? You have to learn how to make your plate, structure your plate wherever you are. So I like them to keep a little food log. And then after their first week, I go in and I do a food audit, and I call it little revamps. So, hey, maybe instead of the 2% yogurt, we switch it to 0%, and you can get more volume from it. And so I like to show the why, the why of why we make these changes, rather than, hey, do this, because we're all adults. And I think it's very important. It's our body. Treat it the best that you can.
Mhm.
So shedding light on that. And I have them focus on their steps, their water,
Mhm.
and then being in a calorie deficit. And one thing with my coaching is I'm very vulnerable with my clients. I'm very honest with them. I think the only way to really grow is to be honest with yourself. And many people are nervous to shed light on the fact that they're still struggling with binge eating or whatever. And so my clients have text access to me in a group. And so they can ask questions whenever. So if someone is about to have a binge, right? They write in and they say, I need help with this. And then, I'm one step away being able to kind of coach them through that. And so it's a 16-week program, and we have weekly coaching calls. They have a community of hundreds of women involved that they can ask questions to. And truly the community is the best part of my program. It's funny because most people, when they think group coaching, they're like, no, I just want the full coach's attention. I don't care about anyone else. I want to focus on me. And it turns out that the group, the environment of these women that I work with, they're so amazing. And it's the reason why people stay on with me. It's why they want to stay in that.
So yeah, what I was looking for is on the back end with the entrepreneur side. Like, okay, when you go in and someone comes in, what is the process? Like, do they jump into Kajabi? Do they jump into ClickFunnels? What are the apps that, because you've had to learn this, right? You've sat there and you've learned YouTubes and you've gone all through it, and someone comes in, you've acquired this client who's decided, absolutely, Amanda's the best in the world. She's just an absolute superhero. How do we connect with her? What is the process that you put people in? You mentioned this community where they could text each other. Are you using WhatsApp? What are the things that are the tactical things like, hey, this really, really works. I wish I had found this program, this app, this newsletter, this blah, blah, blah. What is those things that you have found? Because the ways to connect and to be authentic, there's a lot of people who are obviously trying to do it. And I think building that network and building that community, it goes around the idea that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So that's the narrative. But then there's the tactical. It's like, do I do this on a Mac? Do I do this with this? What are the things that you have found that walk them through that so you can organize all this by yourself, by the way, which is seriously impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. So honestly, I promise to answer your question. If I were someone starting from scratch and I had no platform, no nothing, I would start my program on School.
Mhm.
Alex Hermosi, whatever. It's not a plug for him. I just started learning about it, but that platform is very similar to um like Kajabi. You can host your material on it. You can have a community there. You can advertise your program as well. And I think that's what I would start with. But for myself, I don't want to transfer everything over right now. So a client, I use Kajabi for my course. Kajabi has a community aspect now, which I'm using. But for the tech support, my clients are in Telegram, which is, a free app similar to WhatsApp. And there's different groups in there, and we use that. And then we use Microsoft Excel to keep track of their habits. We use MyFitnessPal to keep track of their food. I'm not a tech savvy person at all. I started my clients on like a Microsoft Word document and using my cell phone. Everyone had my number. And then as I've grown and learned more, I transferred to um, more legit ways to have a business
Mhm.
in. But at first, it was my email, my phone, sharing a Word document together, which is still fine. Uh, but now it needs more of a system.
I can't tell you how many brownie points you get by saying Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel versus the Google Docs because I am old-fashioned. I like my Microsoft products. I'm sorry. For you people who like Google, leave me alone. So especially since YouTube's not YouTube, Yahoo looks like they're about to buy them, which is wild to me. They're trying to buy Chrome.
Oh my,
Wild. Absolutely wild. So if there was one thing as far as like support, are you like literally manually going in and typing in Telegram and doing all of that? Oh, I'm
yeah,
so excited for your systems that you're gonna have and the support. That's gonna be so much fun. You're gonna
a
get
lot
your
of
life back.
a lot of voice notes. It's a lot of, I mean, my eyes, by the end of the day, I look incredibly high because my eyes just get very red from typing and from looking. So there's now some boundaries I have to put in place with that. But it's a lot of support, which is why my clients have so much success. But there's a way to still continue that on without me as involved.
Right. There's a way for them to have that level of service and get the results they want, but also not have you because just admit it, you're high at the end of the day. To have you not look like you're high and you're exhausted and all that. There's so much here. There's so much where people can learn this stuff and to understand the basics, like here's school and Telegram and all that. You've given so much value, but I know a lot of people are going to want to track you down. Not only to say, hey, I would like to lose those XYZ pounds, or hey, can I pick your brain? I'm a single female or I'm a female in this environment where the cards are stacked against me. If you were talking to them, you had a room full of entrepreneurs that were all female, since you clearly hate us men. Um, if you're in that situation and you were like, "Hey, ladies, this is what you're going to go through. What are the biggest struggles you've experienced as a female entrepreneur?" Then the ways you kind of surpassed that and got around those.
Honestly, support from others, I think, is interesting. I how do I phrase this? I think that when you say you want to start a company or you have this vision, especially as a woman, it's hard for people to take you seriously, especially in a very overly saturated market of fitness and health and weight loss. Um, and so knowing that even the people closest to you might not be rooting for you at first, and just if you really believe in yourself and what you want to do, and as you continue to have evidence that you are very good at what you do, right, with testimonials, then just keep building on that. Um, and I think that that's something that I've gained a lot more confidence with as I've had my journey of growing my business. And so just to it's I mean, it's very general advice, right? And we hear this all the time, but just to keep trying, keep consistent, and knowing that's gonna take time, and you don't have to be perfect the first time around.
For the people on this side of it with external plumbing, if it makes you guys feel better that are listening to this, I've become very successful, but my father was convinced that I would only be a manager at a 7-Eleven. That was like his dream for me. He's like, you're being an assistant manager. So when you were talking about you're not going to get that support from the people around you, I was I was making high six figures and I was still told when you're going to get a real job. And I literally had to bring a copy of my bank account and a copy of my taxes. I'm like, hey, I don't know what to do with all this fake money from my fake job. Could you help me out? So you're going to have that resistance. And I think a lot of people run into the idea of you have to think of it like a kid. When you first have a kid and they fall down, when they're learning how to walk, after they fall down 6 or 7 times, you're like, "Nope, that's it. We're gonna get them in a wheelchair," which is insane. You're not gonna say that. You're gonna say, "Okay, just keep falling. We're gonna figure this out." And I think that's entrepreneurship at the core of everything.
Yeah, and I think one thing that is so helpful is there's no other option for me. I never wanna go back to a corporate job. Like, so I never wanna get fat. Like, I there's no option but to keep going. So, there was this one time when I was, um, not making much money and really trying to break into the coaching world and, like, get more clients. And my mom, who I love, but she was like, "Amanda, like, maybe give yourself a month and then maybe we go back and, like, think about going back to a corporate job." And that to me was like, absolutely not. And so I've always had this mindset where I can figure it out. I can do hard things. I view challenges now, and it's hard when you're starting out early on and you're like, "I don't want challenges, I just wanna make the money," right? But I'm now very thankful I went through everything I did because it makes you grow so much, and just truly believing in yourself is so important and staying consistent.
I think what you said earlier about there was no other option, I've worked with entrepreneurs and well, I do a word association game. So if I say bird, they'll say tree. If I say cat, they'll say dog, whatever it is. And I'll rapidly go through that and I'll say the word employee. So if I say employee, what is the first word that comes out of your mouth?
Hire someone.
Okay. So if I say paycheck, what is the first thing?
I don't wanna answer this wrong. Paycheck. I don't want a paycheck. I want
Right. So that's the response. So when I talk to people, because there's a difference between being an entrepreneur and have entrepreneur-like traits. When I talk to entrepreneurs, they'll give the response you gave earlier. It's like, there's no way. I'm not doing that. Like I've done this on stage and people were like, slavery. I was like, oh, like prison, like death. And they have this, if you're having this guttural reaction of like, oh, no, absolutely not. I would rather die. I would rather circumcise myself with a chainsaw. It's just not happening. I'm not going to do it. You're an entrepreneur. Congratulations. Welcome to this horribly crazy cult where you'll stand up and say, hey, my name is Charles. I don't know the difference between my personal life and my business life. Like, yes, yes, welcome, welcome. Sit down, welcome. So that's what it means to be an entrepreneur. And there's a difference between entrepreneur and entrepreneur-like traits. And if you're curious on how to do that and figure that out, if you think there's a plan B and you're willing to go back to corporate environment, you're not an entrepreneur. Just accept that. You have to get to the point, and I think you said it with dieting as well. I'm never going to do this. I would rather light myself on fire than do those things. And having, I'm sure your mother's a wonderful person. She was there. She was like, hey, I want to help you. I'm worried about my little girl and that environment. And you're like, I appreciate that, mom. Thank you.
Mhm.
You got this, and you got to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of people who wanna talk to you and wanna connect with you, especially from the ones who have internal plumbing, because I'm scary because I have external plumbing. How do they, which you don't know, because at this point I'm just floating head, so I don't know. Um, for the people who wanna connect with you, who wanna reach out, who above and beyond, which again, I'm sure you do phenomenal stuff with fitness. I really do. I don't doubt that in any way, shape, or form. But what you've done as a solopreneur to hit the numbers you've hit, as that's unbelievably impressive. If people are gonna track you down and they wanna say, "Hey, how do I get a hold of you? How do I ask you questions? I'm just starting. What's the best way to get a hold of you? Where are your socials? How do they find you?"
Yeah, Instagram is the best one, and it's Amanda_Dobler, Dobler. It's very simple. I'm on TikTok as well, but I get a ton of messages on there, and it's a crazy platform, and my handle on that is Amanda I don't even know. I think it's Amanda B. Dobler or Amanda Fat Loss Coach, but Instagram, Amanda_Dobler is the best.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It's great.
Building a business isn't about having the perfect plan or the fanciest tools. It's about showing up consistently when nobody believes in you, especially yourself. Success comes from taking imperfect action over perfect planning.